What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Rad Left, making a triumphant return after a long period of silence. I'm James Garcia, and we're here with KC.
Hi, James.
As always, we're the Rad Left. We
are.
Sit around and talk about leftist bullshit and aliens and drugs.
That's right. We hope you're the Rad Left too, everyone out there. We hope some of you are the Rad Left, because I don't really want to talk to people that aren't anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty hard out there to relate to somebody who, I mean, honestly, I feel like the basic requirement of being a Rad Left is just having empathy. So
Yeah, not falling into any company, like having your own mind and thoughts about things. Like, I know we're all supposed to connect, we're all supposed to respect each other, because I know there's divide and conquer. I'm aware of all that, and it's hard, but at the same time, god damn, some of these motherfuckers do not listen to shit.
yeah,
They will not listen to new ideas, and they will not accept that they're being brainwashed.
yeah,
It's frustrating.
it is frustrating. And speaking of frustrating, how have you been since we haven't talked in a minute?
Pretty good. I'm glad you're doing this. Yeah, we're I'm trying to bust right into the goddamn. But yes, I'm doing good. I think you're doing good. I watch you as a friend and a creative partner, and I like seeing you being creative. It always makes me happy seeing my friends that I like and love doing creative things and not giving up on that, because I think that's a real sign of letting go, or letting them get to you a little bit. They're trying to take all that shit away. Some force doesn't want us to be creative, but I'm doing very good. I've actually got a job I don't dread right now in the capitalistic landscape of hell that we all live in. It's actually pretty good. My bills are ridiculous. They keep going higher and higher, but that's what happens when you move to Upper Arlington.
Yeah.
They're trying to push you out, and that's fine. My kids are healthy. My wife still seems to love me. And I feel good about those things right now. Everything else is scary.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting any younger. My eyesight sucks.
Yeah. You
But
wearing glasses?
I do, and I will sometimes. But sometimes I just like to naturally watch it progress. I'm trying to kind of enjoy the decay, Fascinating. It's a natural process. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, watching everything just kind of slip into the abstract.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I love that. Slip into the abstract. That's like a title of an album or something. That's really good. Yeah, because everything just starts meshing together like a good acid trip. You're just kind of like, fuck, man, I am part of the bed. I really am.
Right.
I can communicate with trees. I'm a tree. Makes sense.
All things become one eventually.
They do. Oh, the cool thing is they never aren't one. It's just we have the illusion that they're not because of our weird self-programming that's mixed with some other form of programming. I don't know, whatever that is. The ego, I guess you'd call it, the psychological part of ourselves that thinks it's separate and it's needed. It's not something to abandon necessarily. You need it, just like you need a car to get to the store to get milk. But I think maybe you don't want to always think you're the car, though, Maybe that's the problem, is thinking you're only the car.
Yeah. It is very interesting to see the amount of road rage, and I'm including myself in this. I have really bad road rage.
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking about how that wouldn't happen if this was like a walkable city at all. You wouldn't be screaming at a stranger in front of you to go faster or something if we were walking.
I know.
So it's that level of separation that's a good illustration for why people are so miserable and cruel these days, because there's that level of separation from each other that I think really stokes the fires of animosity and hatred toward each other.
Yeah, and they keep us in competition with each other through social networks, and if you fall for it. Now, if you can see through all the propaganda, it actually becomes a tool to strengthen yourself, and you can start climbing out of it when you're like, oh, that's just what that is. That's just that thing trying to do that to me, and I know what that thing is, and I'm not going to let that happen anymore. It's kind of funny that people even fall for that anymore, but that's hard to do, and I feel like I'm coming out of it. I feel like there's days where I still fall back into self-hatred. All it really takes, James, is three things that baby Casey doesn't get to go his way to make me a shitty, pouty little bitch. That's really all it takes. 3 things, but it used to only be 1 thing. I'm starting to knock it down. Getting better, I think. I hope. I think there's progress being made. I'd like to believe.
Well, that's like the main goal, right? Like
Yeah.
to eventually progress. Well, I mean, I guess it never stops, but just to keep progressing. Like I always keep it as I probably said it on here before, but like I always have it as a benchmark for myself. Like if I can think back to how I was last year or the year before, and not feel cringe about, a lot of stuff that I did or think or, and, then if I don't feel that way, then I probably haven't been progressing.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great thing. I think that often too. And I say that to my wife because goddamn, I have so much of that cringe from the past. And you do want to you almost get especially secondhand cringe when I think back to things I said or thought or how I handled the situation. I'm like, God damn it. But you're right, man. The good news is if you're not feeling that way, and I know a lot of people that, they still are doing it the same way, acting, never apologizing, never taking accountability, never showing any form of weakness or just narcissistic fucking monsters, really.
Yeah.
And I deal with them a lot. Some are even friends of mine, I guess. Yeah. But I don't like that. And they're not as close of friends of mine as someone like you that I feel like I can talk to and I'm going to get an honest answer from. I can't really, really get down with anybody that isn't taking accountability at this point. I just can't. It will become a fight because I just don't take that shit anymore. I don't think you do either.
Yeah.
You don't seem like you take that shit either. So, and I know we've both gone through some social upheavals in our lives. And I think that's a good thing because it's a sign you're adjusting to new patterns, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, there's always that question in the back of your mind, though. It's like, is this, me just not taking shit and, standing up for myself, or am I the problem? Because, when you see it from your own perspective,
yeah,
you're like, well, what's the common denominator here? Well, it's me,
yeah.
Why does this, why do, these things blow up like the way that they do? And I wouldn't say in a, regular pattern, but, regular enough.
It could be, I've never had a negative. I mean, even, we've been doing this for a while and, I've never had any, I don't even think a close negative experience with you. And I don't feel like you're faking it. I mean, but I know you have had those and I know I have had those with other people.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be the common denominator no matter what, right?
Right.
Because it's your point of view. But I do see what you're saying too. And sometimes people say, getting away from toxic people. Are you getting away from toxic people or are you running away from a lesson you should be learning or something? And I don't know what to think of that because it's like, should I have stayed in that relationship with that horrible person that cheated on me? I don't get it. So some of this fucking shit's tricky, man. You got to use your own discernment, I guess.
I mean, that's all we can do really, but it's tough when you have something that feels bad and has actual social consequences. It's hard to not look inward for me and to, be like, what was my part in all of this? And
no, I think
avoided.
You definitely should do that. I definitely think you should do that. And I think if you come to any realization, it's usually both people kind of had some part in it.
Sure.
There have definitely been times I'll flat out be like, man, I'm so sorry. I was a fucking asshole. I know times I really jumped the gun and it was, you could feel something happen, but that's before I understood, you're reacting to a past trauma that you haven't dealt with within yourself. That's all that Carl Jung shit. That stuff really, if you don't fucking deal with your subconscious, it's going to take over and you're not even going to know what you're doing. You're just going to be a maniac out there. And I guess you got to do that a few times till you start. But some people never get tired of that. You think Trump has ever had anyone tell him he's being an asshole? Not enough people, obviously. And now Biden as well, I guess, or anybody who I'm segueing here, anybody who is not standing up to Israel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why the fuck aren't the world leaders being like, hey guys, that's scary how scared they are of Israel. I don't like that. That freaks me out. The Zionists, by the way, not the good people in Israel that have nothing to do with this.
Right, of course.
Yeah, but I feel like,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's an important thing that, before we continue on in the whole Gaza discussion, just to establish for listeners that, like, because some people I feel like may have a hard time, probably not any of our listeners, but, just in general, a lot of people have a hard time talking about conflicts in the Middle East, and especially involving Israel, because anti-Semitism is such it's such a plight that, it's a huge problem that we have in the world and throughout history. So it, can seem kind of problematic to be talking and criticizing Israel. But, in this discussion, what we're talking about is the government of Israel. Like when we say America is bad, I'm not saying the average American is bad necessarily, I mean,
right.
I might be, but that's a special case for America.
Yeah, sadly.
I don't think of all Germans in the 40s as Nazis. I'm not thinking the entire country. I'm talking about the regime. I'm talking about the power hungry, colonialist, imperialist government. I'm talking about the military branch. I'm talking about, the corporate, bureaucratic, the gears in the machine of human suffering.
Yes.
And so when we're talking about, this, we're talking about it from a Zionist critique. And, we're talking about it as a, pro ethno state of Israel, as a invading force, as the wardens of the world's largest open air prison. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about Jews in general.
No,
of course not. It's.
I know plenty of Jewish people who, unfortunately, I see on TikTok, because I hate to say it, and this is a whole other discussion. That is where I get my best news right now. As sad as we are, I get it from TikTok, and the reason it's like when you watch those documentaries about cops or whatever, and it's always the cop. It's always got to be some. We've talked about this too, but it's always got to be some detective that keeps the case going, because cops always give up. They don't really give a fuck about solving the case. But if a family member is like, no, man, something doesn't feel right, and they get some cool detective, or the family member figures stuff out, because there's people on the ground level that are being affected by the thing. So I'm watching videos from people in Palestine right now. I'm watching Jewish people saying, hey, man, I don't support what my people are doing, or, my government is doing right now at all. Like, a lot of people are saying this, but you're not going to hear that because propaganda, and it's like, even the guy that just set himself on fire, they're trying to turn it into some sort of, like two people set themselves on fire, but they're trying to turn it into some sort of mental health thing, where it's like, no, man, he had a clear manifesto. He had his wits about him. He knew what he was doing. He wasn't just some crazy guy. He was doing this to protest. Now, I doubt you're the happiest guy in the world choosing that way to protest. Maybe, I don't know, but he didn't seem crazy, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I don't know. I mean, crazy or not, I mean, it has to be a pretty extreme thing to drive you to do this, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was thinking about it the other day before, what was his name? The Navy airman that.
Yeah, what was his name? Sorry, I forgot his name too.
No, I can't remember it either, which is terrible. I think it was Aaron something.
Yeah.
Aaron. Let me just look it up. He deserves to be named.
One day we're going to have that third guy that can type stuff for us. We'll get there. Hey, thanks to anybody out there listening. I mean, I know there are some people that listen every once in a while, and I like when I hear people get excited. There's a new one coming up, and we sort of had a resurgence there because we took a long break, and then we just took a littler smaller break, and now here we are. Hopefully, we can go regular again because our jobs line up.
Yeah. Finally, we got that worked out.
Yep.
Yeah, his name is Aaron Bushnell.
Yeah, there you go.
Bushnell. He was 25. Right.
Yeah, that's crazy. God, I mean, but when you feel you have no future, which, I saw someone just post today how uh, the reason we're all so into nostalgia culture is because we're a generation that believes we have no future. It's like,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what they're pounding into our heads over and over again, whether it's real or not. I mean, that's very dark,
I
man.
mean, it's very real. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
compared to the boomer generation at the
Uh,
same age that millennials are at now, they had, I think it was something like 28 or 30% around there uh, of like the nation's wealth, whereas millennials have 4%.
Jesus Christ.
It's not like this is backed up by numbers. This isn't just anecdotal.
No,
Like,
it's
well, it seems like our parents had it easier. Like, that's just how it feels. It's absolutely true.
It is. And the old George Carlin, man, he was yelling, they're gonna take it all, man. They'll get it all from you. Your social security, everything. And he's yelling this back in the fucking, early 2000s. And he's right. It's like they're gonna they're monsters, man. They're sociopaths. People think that we all think alike, but no, these people, they all want power. Like, if you've ever worked in a place with like the super rich, the predatory class, you hear stories all the time. These people are fucking maniacs. I mean, what is it? The royals, like the royals are disgusting people, man. They're like, just not, I mean, even like physically, like just, they don't physically take care of themselves. They're just gross beings who just feed off another class of people. Like I mean, they're all inbred and shit. It's fucking weird stuff, man. Like it's very strange. But they get their whole lives, they've just been handed whatever they want, and they just become monsters, man. It's creepy, but yeah. So here we are, and it sucks that you and I, we can't really. I hate, because I was seeing this too. Actually, Kathleen Hanna was talking about protests and stuff, and she's like, it sucks how we're all so tired from working and just surviving that they're keeping us too tired to even protest. So it's like, we're at that point where it's hard to find the energy to get out there and protest and like do all that shit that needs to get done. But I feel a big one's coming, man. God, did you see Biden with the ice cream cone, man? Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Jesus
I was gonna talk about that, man. Yeah, I did. I watched the interview on Seth Meyers, and then it was like there's like in the news cycle immediately that they went down to get some. For those of you who don't know, Joe Biden went on Late Night with Seth Meyers with Amy Poehler. And did you watch that at all?
I saw a little, and it just, that whole thing he's saying about the American people are resilient. It's like, fuck you. God, it just angered me. I'm starting to dislike him more than Trump, man.
Dude, I cannot stand watching him trying to listen to him talk. Like, he just rambles. He's making no fucking sense. Now he's going on the offensive about how old Trump is. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you think that's going to work? But anyway,
lame
so
stuff.
he was on there, and those two were just like, they were handling him. They were
exactly.
like what they do, like what people do with like their grandpa when they're like, hey, grandpa, you want to, you're in the conversation.
Yeah.
This is, and
he always defers to some higher power. Like, well, I hope they come to it. It's like, you're the fucking president.
Yeah.
What do you mean I mean, either you're giving something away we already know, which you ain't got shit for power, man. I know, man. It's crazy. Like I saw, did you see the one with Mitch McConnell where he's having another fucking stroke? Someone says, hey, Mitch, are you going to be up for a re-election in 2024? Yeah. And he's just like, and the lady has to repeat it to him like 8 times. It's like, dude, come on. It's a joke out there, man.
He's stepping down now.
Okay, that's right. Well,
he's not stepping out of the Senate. He's stepping down as the leader.
Oh God, he's still going to be in there, huh? Pulling a Strom Thurmond, I guess. All right.
Yeah, they're just going to. I guess they're going to keep wheeling him in.
Jesus.
To vote.
God, good. This is crazy stuff, but it's our country. See, it's propaganda. We've been brainwashed since we've been born. It's a cult. We're in a cult.
Well, and like it's just the older generation is not rescinding power to the next generations like they're supposed to, like they have always done in history. Yeah. Like
there's no give and take.
They're just not fucking dying.
Yeah. I mean, everywhere in nature is the give and take of energy, man. And like if you're just taking, like it's gonna fucking kill. It's like you can't just give all the time either. It's like, it's a back and forth, but yeah, they're just
we're rotting.
Yeah, we really are.
It's like, what's the average age in Congress? It's like, I forget what it's like 70 or something.
Yeah.
And it's like completely disproportionate to the American, demographics,
Yeah. They don't want any, yeah, they're really I mean, it's sad that Bernie was, the most fiery voice, but there's so many young candidates that are out there. They're never going to get a chance, but like they're coming up. I mean, that's the thing. We've told him this whole time. I've been getting into fights with liberals again. Like, there's no way a third party can win. You got to vote for Biden. It's like, dude, I'm not going through this political fucking deja vu bullshit with you. Like, we already explained all this, and you guys got your way, and look what's happened. Now we have to pick between Genocide Joe and fucking Orange Dictator. It's like, it's just plopping out the fucking rotten apples again. But anyways,
I tell you what, man, I'm not voting for anyone who doesn't demand a ceasefire. It's a zero. It is zero tolerance. Like literally, like our kids or your kids are going to be looking back on this in the history books, or their kids, and it'll be listed up there along with Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Other major Rwanda, other major genocides.
I know.
And they're going to be like, that's interesting. I wonder why grandpa just stood by and let that happen, And like, we're living it, man. We're always like, how do atrocities like the Holocaust happen? And this is how. This is fucking how. We're helpless. We're trapped in this. And I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to make it sound like we're victims, but when something this horrible is happening, but in a way, like what kind of real power do we have to affect change here? They say, you vote, you go out and vote. And it's like, both these motherfuckers have a long history of supporting Israel no matter what.
Yeah. Even Bernie Sanders was like now starting to come out about it. I mean, Jimmy Carter talked about it. Even he wouldn't
say ceasefire.
I know. That's fucked up. Now, Jimmy Carter talked about it on an interview. He was saying, basically, you cannot get in the Senate without supporting Israel. This has been a long time coming. Israel is like a fucking... I don't understand what it is, other than the guy, Netanyahu, is that his name? Netanyahu?
Benjamin Netanyahu.
He's pretty I mean, he's what, as bad as a Hitler, right? Pretty much, we're saying. Like,
dude,
he's pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to make the direct comparison saying he's as bad as Hitler, because
we don't quite have
because that's
tricky.
That's a slippery slope. But he's like a modern, he's a modern, like, bloodthirsty monster.
Yeah.
We'll just put it that way. He gets his own category now. Because I mean, like, literally, and like, American politicians wring their hands and say, well, at least they're not like trying to kill citizens, or what about Hamas? What about what they did, and blah blah blah, and like maybe they're going a little overboard, as Biden said, overboard.
No, man, they're killing.
Over the top was his quote. Over the top.
I mean, we're having children being flattened up against the walls that have been, you've heard the stories, I'm sure. Like, man, like, it's constant, like, destroying. Like, I just saw a doctor who, he had made it through 3 different blasts, and on his last, statement to the world, he was like, "We're basically in hell." He goes, "My only freedom now is hopefully there's a heaven," because he's like, "There's no way out of this for us." And it's like, and then he died like shortly after that statement, and like, but like when you're in that, man, it's like fucking, we all still have the luxury right now. See, what's scary though, James, to me, is the normalization of all this, and that it is coming from our tax money. It's our tax. We are paying for it. We know that. They aren't going to fix anything here for us. They aren't fixing anything for us but Israel lives better than we do. Apparently, they have healthcare and things. Apparently, with on our from our money. So, what does that tell you? In America, homelessness is becoming illegal. Uh, 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 Rates of inflation are getting so ridiculous. I saw people saying, "I can't even afford fast food, that which used to be the food you could afford."
Dude,
And
fast food, like for me and Caitlin to go get a meal, it's like $20 at
yeah,
like Taco Bell.
yeah. The grocery store I work at, it's a great place, but if you're rich, you can't get Cheerios there, but you can get octopus. I do like the job. I'm not going to mention the name yet, but bag of corn chips, $16.
Oh my God.
$16, yeah. I get a discount, so $14 for me.
Oh, wow.
If you ever want a
Way
couple
more
bucks off.
affordable.
Yeah, half a bag still that bullshit half a bag shit.
Right.
But man, so let's put it together though. It's very scary. Like I don't like the normalization of genocide because it feels a lot like how school shootings felt, where the first two or three were very shocking, and now they're still happening, but no one talks about them. I mean, mass shootings every day. Like we're not even hearing about them. There's another one at a dentist office like yesterday or something. But nothing.
Really?
Like nobody. We're just so used to it. It's like not even a. And then,
Yeah,
but
just
that's
a
what I'm
blip
afraid.
on the radar.
Yeah, and I'm afraid that's what genocides around the world are going to be at on our fucking dime, and they don't care that they're creating new terrorists to hate us, and rightfully so, man. Like fucking, so they're making
Yeah.
it more dangerous for us. And meanwhile, Biden's on his fucking ice cream cone. You got Kamala Harris. They're asking her about this, and she just keeps saying the date. What was it? What was the date of the
October
Hamas?
7th.
Yeah, October 7th. That's the new 9/11. You just repeat that over and over again. But it's like, doesn't matter that you guys, Israel's been doing this for 30 years to these people. So yes, they.
You know, man, I mean, I gotta say though, I think the major difference between this and 9/11, I felt like the entire country after 9/11 was like, fuck yeah, let's
Yeah.
I gotta say though, I think the pushback against Israel on the ground, I think it's way more present.
That's true. Don't you think we were a little more naive back then, though? Even 20 years, we weren't aware of because we had to have the Patriot Act come, even COVID, which you can believe whatever you want about COVID, but man, that was a strange experience, and I still don't know what the fuck that was all about, really. I have so many questions that'll never get answered. But yeah, man, it's fucking scary the way things are headed. I don't like it. I hope we have a future to be asking our grandparents, worried about our. I don't know, man. Things are very weird, and it just seems like at any time we slip further and further into this fucking hellscape. Like, I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to, I'm getting into all kinds of spirituality and shit, trying to hold on to whatever ideas might make me, I don't know, man. But all that could be just, not wanting to face reality, like some weird association shit. You just,
however you got to cope, man. I mean, like.
I masturbate a lot.
That'll do it.
Yep. I hang around a 2-year-old, not while I'm masturbating, but I hang around a 2-year-old, and that really does help you. I'm sure you have nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
And just steal one of them, because they'll remind you that we used to be like that. We used to look around and just be in awe of everything, and everything was exciting. And you can still be like that. You can take psychedelics to do it. I'm not against that. Alcohol works for me, though. A little bit of weed and alcohol at night, and I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Does that work for you? Are you drinking still? How are you doing?
Yeah, I don't go out anymore. It's too expensive, and I'm pretty burnt out on the bar scene. So pretty much the only time I go out is when one of my bands plays a show.
How many are you in right now?
How many am I in?
You're in Hollow, right?
2, yeah. Hollow and Coffin Makers is our new one.
Oh, nice.
I say new, but we've been working on stuff for a really long time at this point and haven't put anything out yet. But
do you have videos?
We have videos? Not yet. We have a single and a music video coming out soon. We're just waiting on art. Will
you send it to me and Jessica? We're creating a video show.
Absolutely,
It's called Lunar Transmissions. We're doing it through Boxland, and I want you to be a guest. And I'd actually like you to have your own segment on the show if you'd like.
Hell yeah!
It's been getting some good response. I actually talked to an LA producer yesterday. He hit me up when I made a post about it, and gave me all this info on I'm jumping from Palestine because I was just getting too depressed. Is that okay
No,
if we
yeah,
jump over? We're not
absolutely,
solving
absolutely.
anything. I,
Yeah.
I just starting to realize I just like, God damn it, man.
No, it's dude, it's that helplessness, man. I
Yep.
don't know what to say. I just other than it's horrible, and I stand with the people in Gaza,
Yep.
and and at the same time, I stand with the hostages, taken by
Yeah.
Hamas. These are all crimes against humanity, and it's terrible, and
Yep.
I condemn it all. It's bullshit, and yeah, I won't vote for anybody who doesn't demand a ceasefire. And I think that we could just put a ribbon on that topic and move on.
I wonder if there be any humans that ever have the balls to. I wish I had the balls to do this. Maybe one day it'll come to it, but well, you can't travel with guns on airplanes. But if we could somehow get to Israel, get some guns, and go actually physically defend the Palestinians, I wonder if anybody would ever have like some mercenary group would get together, like an A team of sorts. Is that something people would do?
Uh, from America is probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
John Stewart actually had on his not this most recent Monday, but the previous Monday, I feel like he had a pretty good breakdown of like a pretty decent idea for having a two-state solution over there where I'm paraphrasing obviously, but basically inviting all of the surrounding Arab countries to come in and create like a demilitarized zone between Israel and Gaza, and have them run security. So it's kind of like a impartial third party.
Yeah.
You could have Egypt, Syria, Jordan, all those folks.
It's probably smart to do because Israel's starting to poke their nose into other regions now and threaten.
Well, that's the exact same thing like with NATO and Russia. It's like there's a huge concern that if we cede land to these imperialists, your country can become next. That's what happened in World War II, and World War I. Like if you don't, and Napoleon, and throughout history, all these land grabbers. Like if you are like, I don't want a war, so I guess you can just have this bit of land. What is going to stop them from taking more?
Yeah. How many of them all work together? Is there really a league of evil gentlemen that are all discussing their way of taking over, or do they all work independently of each other, just as kind of maniacs? Like I can't tell. Sometimes.
Yeah, I think they have a small. They have easy communication with one another, but I think it's a bunch of factions all over the world with different agendas and conflicting ideas. I'm not. I think a big conspiracy theory out there is that there's a larger conspiracy theory. I think that there's some like shadowy group or person who's pulling the strings, and I think that's a psyop.
Could be. Could be
to make us think that there's some kind of control out there, and it's not just the absolute chaos that it is.
No, I've heard that too, that psychologically people feel more comfortable with that because still there's some order to that.
Right. Because at least somebody has a plan.
Yep. I think that there is order to the universe, but the cycles are so far and few and far between that we don't really notice it. I mean, obviously you see there's patterns in nature, but I think I think humans, I kind of fall into the Jim Carrey, the neo Jim Carrey age, where he's sort of like, you can manifest, you can do all that spiritual stuff, you can be whatever, witchcraft. He goes, and that's great. He goes, look what I've done it. I've become a famous person. He goes, but it doesn't matter. He goes, that's the thing no one's comfortable with is like, if you become president or you become a bum on the streets, like to the universe, it means nothing. Like it doesn't care. And in the end, that's kind of beautiful. There's something really peaceful and beautiful about that, where it's like, you don't have to try. You don't have to be anything. You can just exist. And like my daughter, the 2-year-old she is fine with existing until she doesn't get her milk. But a lot more of the percentage of her day is filled with awe than say like, oh, your normal, 40-year-old American stressed out fucking me, so.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to get there though. I think I can. I think art helps me hold on to it.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, I think there are patterns in nature and in, the universe. The problem is that we're just way too close to, or, I guess maybe we're either too close to something, like to our own lives, to
yeah,
notice the greater patterns,
yeah,
to, or, or like we were made to ignore them for our own survival.
yep. It could be a lot of the distraction is even just not looking at the stars all the time like we used to. We used to sit out and look up at the stars as groups, and maybe that's we had a lot more ideas about things. I mean, a lot of them were pretty crazy though, so I wouldn't say we're necessarily better off that way, but I don't know.
It's hard to say, but I mean, I don't know. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine. Well, I don't know. I mean, I keep going back and forth because I was like, well, medieval ages sounded pretty terrible, but then I think, did you know that the average like serf in the medieval ages, the average peasant worked fewer hours and had fewer output than we do now?
I heard that. I also heard like during the Great Depression that I heard that. I heard that during heard that during the Great Depression we're actually worse off now too. Doesn't feel like it because of all the distractions we have, our
Yeah,
phones and our
because we
Netflix.
have iPhones.
Yeah, but financially we're the financial, because they didn't have billionaires back then, I don't think, did they?
I mean, they had like Carnegie and
Yeah, were they billionaires? Were they millionaires or billionaires? I don't know.
well, I mean, with inflation, $1 million.
Oh yeah. I guess it's
a lot more
true.
than, yeah.
But I was watching a TikTok from a girl in, I think, Italy, maybe some other country, and she was like, I get all my food for under $200 a month, and I spend way more than my friends do on food. I am getting $600 a month for rent, and it's this is normal. And she's saying like, and they're all watching us like, what the fuck is going on there, guys? And that's the thing I'm talking about. It's a cult. It's like propaganda. At the root of all of this, James, none of this could happen if propaganda was not possible. If people could see through the fucking bullshit, we would not fall for this. And a lot of people, like you said, a lot more people are not falling for it. And I like that. But I don't think it's enough. And there's just too many. For one, you got the Trumpers, and then you got the next layer of people that have a different kind of propaganda, is the liberals who think the Democrats can do no wrong. And it's like, and then you got us who are like, no, we'll talk shit about all of them and even take accountability, but we want to see something change, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Because nothing's changing.
Yeah, I can't, I say this every year, but I'm just like, I can't see how this can continue on and get worse like this. I just don't, I mean, I should stop saying that, because then I find out the next year that it does get worse, and everybody just is still at home just being like, dang, groceries are expensive.
They got a lot of prisons being built, and homelessness is getting illegal. And we are not more people are going to become homeless. And so if homelessness is illegal, you get put in jail. There you go. You got your prison camps. Pretty much, we're working for them. And they make their. I mean, it's not a mistake that we have the highest fucking prison fucking rate in the whole world. It's like something is creating that reality, and we just got to admit that that's what's happening. I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. Something is trying to fucking enslave us, and they start with your mind. So I don't know. I want to fight it. I'm not going to let it happen, but. I don't know. I guess, but how do you stop it? If you're all alone in a room full of crazy people, man, you're the crazy one. So it's like, it's just, that's why we need to have these conversations. And
I just want to interject really fast on your last point. Despite the U.S. having 4.23%, so about 4% of the world's population, we have 24% of the world's prisoners.
Yes, I've heard that. That's fucking not good.
Not good.
For the freest country. And they tell you
quote unquote freest country.
People look how mad people get if you tell them like,
sorry,
you're not
getting the kid.
Sorry, my wife is talking to me. This is Jessica. She does a podcast called Revolution Rosie's. Hi. One day we should co-podcast together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
James.
Hi.
We're talking about the country being not so free as they say they are.
It's not. Last
I heard. Can you go get him?
If you listen for her.
I'll listen for her. Okay. We may have a 2-year-old co-host here soon.
Oh, good.
All right. Thank you, honey. I love you. All right. Anyways, yes, that's fucked up. And that's fucking, they start young, man. They start telling you you're in the best country, man. You don't want to be over there. And it's like that. I didn't realize how much we've been lied to, man. Other countries are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say every country, every group of people, every person has their problems.
Yes.
know? So it's like, there's no utopia. And I don't think there's any like one solution to fit all. And I think, every, geopolitical, location has their own needs and their own resources to deal with and their own infrastructures. And I think that's great. I think that's beautiful, actually. And I don't want capitalism is not the answer for the entire world. It's just not. Like, I don't really think I think the only thing that was an answer for was moving on from, serfdom.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a chance, but now but I don't even know. Is it even capitalism at this point? Or is it some corporatism? It's like we're at a whole new level. It's a word.
This is late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
This is where, even Adam Smith, I don't know if he was necessarily they call him the, godfather of capitalism. I don't know if he actually like created it, but he, wrote the book on it. He said this is an answer for like, kind of freeing up things from a monarchy, and it makes it, slightly more democratic, which is a good thing. But that the way that if you arrange your entire government and economy on constant growth, that it will eventually have to start eating itself, because
yeah.
I mean, at a certain point when you're a profit, your output is, 130% of, what it was, like everybody's putting out more than, everybody ever has, we live in a finite world.
Yeah.
Finite resources. We have, and time is a resource. That's a big one. Human beings, we have a ceiling on what we can do.
Yeah.
And, we're stretched pretty thin as it is. And so once you're done squeezing out all of the labor out of all of your workers, once you've like pushed that as far as you can go, the only thing to start doing is like firing your workers to save money on labor. And that's how you're going to start making your gains. Like UPS, where I work, they just laid off a bunch of drivers, and that's because, it's, around tax season, they try to make it seem like their expenses are lower. So they like will axe a bunch of drivers, and that puts, way more pressure on the current drivers. That extends their routes. But it makes it look like you're cutting hours and so that your profit margin is higher and your expenses are lower. They do this every year, I guess. I mean, we're all in a union, so they can't like fire us. But when you get laid off, you have to basically, they come over to my department, the drivers. And so the drivers are doing, what I usually do. And then I lose hours, you know what I mean? Because it's like it goes by seniority. So it's just, just an example of the system eating itself.
Can you still see me? It doesn't matter if you can still hear me, though.
No, I can't see you, but I can hear you.
I just wanted to read you this thing because you reminded me of this. The system is definitely eating itself, and that's all set up. But I saw someone say this. They said someone should probably tell the rich that workers banding together to present a formal address of grievances as the alternative we worked out a long time ago to breaking down the factory owner's front door and beating him to death in front of his family. I feel like they forgot. So
that's
what that's what's happening. But
we should remind them.
Yeah, they need reminded because I'm not beyond that. And who's gonna? I mean, we're getting to that point, man, where someone's gonna have to step up and start scaring them in their front yards. These fucking assholes. They're way too comfortable. And like your whole thing, you just said, man. I was talking to a guy the other day. You know, he worked for the hotel companies for years, and basically, it's just a known thing that at around 40, they start saying, "You're not doing a very good job," because they don't want to pay you. You're fucking, you know, it's just these tricks are just so ingrained in the system. It's like
There's
it's
no
always
loyalty.
to fuck us over. Yeah, no loyalty, no respect, and like, goddamn, man, it's what we have put up with so much.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, man.
Like our grandparents, they would work for a company their entire lives. They would work their way up with raises. They'd be building up their pensions, you know, and then when they got, you know, old enough to retire, they would retire with a pension, and, you know, they would retire at the peak of their income, at the peak of their wages. And then they would retire with that. And that's how my grandpa was. He worked for the railroads. And, you know, and he had a pension, and he was able to live off of that, you know, obviously until he got too old and now has to live in a assisted living community. Like they all have like, you know, their own like apartments or whatever, but, you know, they took every single dollar of his to do that.
Yeah.
That's, you know, the modern healthcare system, but at least he had a pension. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, when I'm his age, if I ever make it that old, what the fuck am I going to do? I won't have a pension.
Exactly. My mom, you know, my mom's a sweet person, but I get very frustrated because she is a boomer. She's not a Trumpy boomer.
Yeah.
More liberal, you know, whatever. But like overall, she gets about, my 2-year-old's awake. She gets about $2,000 a month just given to her just from existing. And, you know,
yeah.
Hi, Mayor. You're getting to meet the whole family today. She's about $2,000, and you know, like, just doesn't understand. Like, I think she still thinks in her mind like my financial problems are like because I chose to be in a band or something. She doesn't get it when I'm like, no, Mom, like I'm doing all the stuff. I've had 3 jobs. I'm working, but we're still, you know, they keep raising HOA because they can do that. And we may want to wrap this up soon because she's going to start.
No, that's fine.
Hi, Mayor. Say hello to James.
Hi. Aw, aren't you cute? Aw, she's so cute.
She's a cutie. She's a good little girl. Hey, maybe we can do this every Friday. Is a Friday a good day for you? Like around this time?
Around this time every Friday. That should be good.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I'm good at 2:00 now, so we'll just keep the conversation going, my man.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, it was great getting back in touch with you and getting the ball rolling again. And we have a lot more to talk about. And
it won't always be Palestine. We just had to get that out of our system. I'm sure it's going to be a conversation.
Hopefully, you know, we touched on it for a second, but you know, Joe Biden with his stupid ice cream cone.
Jesus Christ.
He announced that they're working on a ceasefire that they were hoping would come by the end of the weekend. So I'm hoping to hear for that because, you know, I would love to not have Donald Trump be our president.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't want either of them, but he's you know, they just both are awful. Like why? How are they alive?
I don't know.
Anyways, they live off hate and ice cream, I guess. But
I guess so.
All right, James, love you.
All right, Casey, love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. This has been another episode of the Rad Left. You can check us out on, I guess we're not really on social media much anymore, so don't check us out anywhere. But you can definitely tune in next week when we get back together, and hopefully we can have some regularity to this. But thanks for listening, and stay rad.